Now this here is the interesting case of Joshua James Kershaw. Now before I go into this, I've looked around a bit on this one, okay? Now I've seen some of the YouTube videos, some of the snaps, seen a lot of comments prior to this, on Facebook, Instagram, and even people that knew this guy. And it makes interesting reading, especially when I see how this stories unfold and what I've seen in some of the YouTube clips and how he carries on, you know? What people are saying, and how this guy seems to come over, is consistent. But what's actually happened here, and how it's reported, and what the hotel people and what's happened here itself is not. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's get into this. Okay, obviously, what we've had here is a situation where Joshua James Kershaw, only 21, was pronounced unalived in a hotel in Bangkok. Okay, this would be January. Okay, so obviously he was found deceased. It's been said, and this is where it gets a bit tricky. Okay, it's been said that he had high levels of cocaine and heroin in his system. Okay. There was an inquest after the body was returned to the UK, and they found traces of heroin and cocaine in his system. Okay, now that's interesting. Because from what I've read, yeah, and from people who actually knew him, they're saying that wasn't his kind of thing. And to be honest, I'm judging him from looking, and I consider myself to be an extremely intuitive person. That's not to say, I'm going to be right or wrong, but I mean that to me makes very interesting reading, especially when it's said that the levels of drugs were said to be high enough to cause death, according to the coroner, Oliver Longstaff. Okay. Interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. The coroner also said that the suggestion from the toxicology test was that drugs had played a part in Joshua's death, and it was not a natural death. Earlier this week, Joshua's family shared a photo of a woman they want to speak to about their son's sudden death. Okay? On Wednesday, March 25th, his mum, Jenny from Wakefield, posted on Facebook that the investigation into his death has now been reopened and is now treated as murder-manslaughter. Stick a pin there. The boy's been found with drugs in his system. It's kind of known that he doesn't take those kind of things. And now it's been reopened and is seen as a murder investigation. That's interesting. How did they get there then? I personally believe he was spiked. A lot of this doesn't add up. And the mum's quite right. The girl he was with a girl. The picture you see on the thumbnail. At some point he met her. It's believed that he met her. I believe that he met her, and she's probably one of the last people that have seen him. Okay, so there's a lot there to look at. There's a lot there to look at. There's a lot there that needs to be assessed. Okay, there's a good online article about this. Yeah. Where someone looks at this, and they more or less say something similar to what I'm kind of saying here. Okay. Ricky Killeen, do look him up on Facebook, comes with a very, very good article, yeah, where he says basically the Joshua Kershaw toxicology report, there's something very dodgy going on about it, okay, where it's believed that there were 7 different types of drugs found in his system, and no one would take that amount of drugs, and definitely not together. Okay. He says the British tourist, that would be Josh, had 7 different types of drugs in his system, as tests showed, and the Brit who was found unalived hours after arriving in Thailand, had a deadly cocktail of 7 drugs in his system, according to the UK coroner, as I've already mentioned. And also, he alludes to the fact that Josh was last seen on CCTV arriving back to his hotel in Bangkok at 5:45, carrying 2 bears, and was found deceased later that afternoon on January the 13th. Okay? Alright. But the thing here is, the police initially dismissed the case as an accidental overdose, but Josh's mother insists someone else had to be involved in the case. Now that could be the girl, or someone that was floating around and who he may have interacted with, and question mark may have who he got the drugs with, because apparently there was a guy floating around. But I think ultimately the girl has something to do with this. Okay, but I'm saying that they should be prosecuted for manslaughter or murder. Okay, and police have not ruled out this possibility. Okay, because they're saying there's morphine, heroin, tramadol, cocaine, alcohol, ketamine, methadol in his blood. That's interesting. I think it was spiked. Definitely spiked. Definitely spiked. Relatives say that it is impossible that Josh, let alone anybody, would knowingly take such a dangerous mixture of substances separately, or even have the strength to take them. Questions remain over whether a rogue drug containing the substances was sold to Josh, and he took it unaware of what it contained, or if his drinks were spiked with a fatal cocktail. I believe the latter. Either way, the person who sold the drugs to Joshua, or the person who gave it to him unknowingly in an apparent attempt to maybe rob him later, must face justice. Okay. Let me go to the Facebook comments to wrap this one up. This boy would never do this, and that's for sure. Love to you, brother. Okay, that may be someone who knows him, because I've seen quite a lot of comments from people who actually know him, and they're saying the same kind of thing. The same kind of thing. So he was still walking as per the CCTV after all that in his system. Nah, mate, something happened in his room. That's a good point. I saw a video where he was walking back into the hotel with a water, and that man had the bears. Josh said no, and the man kept pushing them on him. He was given the drink. He was given the drinks when he got back to the hotel room, and already opened. Okay, he walked in there with nothing in his hands, so no, he didn't return with 2 bears at all. Okay. What I don't understand is why they did not check hotels and where he was checked in first. I'm seeing posts saying he checked out of his room but was found in his room. And there's a few other comments after this one. That is also very suspect. This isn't as clear cut as it seems. Okay? I'm just putting it out there as such. You know what I mean? I'm not delving into it as such. I'm just putting it out there as such. Okay? Well, if the young lad's body was found by staff, if the young lad's body was found by staff, was the room searched, and why did it take that long for them to tell his parents? Did they check his passport? No, they were check his passport to know where he was from did they check his passport to know where he was or something? Something does not add up. This is heartbreaking. Dear. Interesting. The girl holds the key. The girl, I think, holds the key, because apparently he was seen with that girl towards the end of his unfortunate life, and you know something's gone on there. Something's gone on there, which is very suspicious, very suspect. And it's funny how this case has gone quiet, and it's funny how nobody knows anything about the girl. You know, when she holds the key, make it make sense. You know, it's like the girls just disappeared, and the case has just gone to the back burner, as it were. Okay. One final comment before I wrap this one up. Heroin and cocaine are hard to get premium drugs here in Thailand. I presume the person's in Thailand. One dose is more than a month's salary for locals. Also, possession of either, if caught, can land you a life sentence. That's true. Meanwhile, pharmacies are completely unregulated and anybody can get anything without a prescription. No one here would spike a drink with heroin and cocaine simply because there are 100 times cheaper and less risky methods available. Good point. Very good point. And this, I'll close this with his mum actually. His mum actually wrote a Facebook comment, yeah? His mum actually wrote this, okay? So, yes, this is Jenny Kershaw, his mum. This is what I don't speak to papers, as they never put all the correct information, never put out all the correct information. Josh had 7 different things in his system, okay? There was a very high doses of morphine in his system, which was extremely high. Also, heroin, tramadol, cocaine, alcohol, ketamine, methadol. My boy definitely didn't do this. My boy definitely didn't do this himself. I agree. As someone who's been spiked, I agree. There's a following comment from a Natasha Winwright to the mum. Bless you all. You know what papers are like when they're full of shit. They are awful, knowing all what was in your poor lad's system when he didn't do any of it. It's absolutely shocking and terrible to whoever did this to him, and I hope to God they are held accountable for doing what they have done to him. I really hope you get answers and justice. You deserve all. So basically the mum's saying, yes, he was found with all these things in his system, but he didn't do it. And there's also another video linked to this. Obviously this has gone on, so if I do a part 2, I'll link this to the video, to the second part. But there's a girl on Instagram who questions what's happened there, and rightly says the girl should be questioned, okay? I mean, one of the comments from that video, yeah, is where someone said blatantly, because she called an ambulance for him and went with him to hospital. Because what's happened was, I think he felt ill, went to hospital, then went back to his hotel again, and may have carried on drinking. That's another thing which people held a question mark over. But at some point, this girl was there on the scene and needs to be questioned. So anyway, if anything, I'll be looking at this. I may do a part 2 to this, which I'll look to do, and I will maybe actually add that girl's video, and then, maybe have a deeper dive into this. Alright then, later.